Hey, everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 476. It is not 475 like it says on the screen, and I'm going to change that while I'm doing this introduction. It is episode 476 for November 30th, 2022. My name is Russell Frost. I am your host this week. And let me introduce this stellar panel so that we can get going because we have a metric shit ton of news. Yeah, baby. My friend who's bundled up even warmer than I am because it is cold in my house tonight, Georgia McKenzie.
Yeah, here in the Arctic Circle of Northern California, where the temperatures are dropping down to almost 34 degrees. Shut up, Mark.
The Arctic Circle.
It didn't get above 52 today. Be quiet.
Man, life's rough in California.
I just took out the garbage in this at 43.
I've been wearing a bubble coat at least twice.
I don't.
At least twice during the pre-dawn hours. So yeah, it's cold. But what can I say? Anything that lets me put on.
Yes,
fit.
That's it. And if I had that ensemble, I would be wearing it myself. I, however, would not wear it as well as you, Georgia. My friend in the north, he is the Mid-Atlantic region, Mr. Supercharger Casey Green.
Yeah, I'm currently sitting in the very edge of the Mid-Atlantic. I'm in Southeast again.
Yeah.
The audio interface is in a storage locker. I plan to have that back in time for the next show. So no nice Michael Manring outro music today.
I'll fake it or something.
There we go. But next week we'll be back on track. I did manage to block several superchargers last week for 660 miles of towing. And thankfully we did them all late at night. So there's always enough spacing that I didn't have to stop and wait beyond waiting on the car to charge higher than it normally does. Because the first day I only got 80 miles a segment. And the second day I got 100 and some odd miles a segment. And then the car started second guessing me. So then it started dropping down as well. It's like, you should charge now. We've changed the plan. But we made it safe. No incidents. In fact, we found a Model S owner who had an incident, and he missed his turn and went 10 miles out of the way and had to come 10 miles back and didn't make his 10 miles. Had to get a tow. And then the tow driver tried to drop the car off with the port on the wrong side of the very last stall. So it's not even like you could use the wrong one and just juice it up. And then the 12-volt battery was dead. So we had to jump that. And then the guy could charge his car. So thankfully, that wasn't me.
Sure, Casey. Sure.
Well, I mean, because then you can't really remove the U-Haul trailers once they're loaded up, and I can't deadlift 5,000 pounds, and I don't know that the tow driver would have wanted to either. So I'm glad it was a Model S and not my Model X, and that he was not stranded for more than 8 hours. Because try to get a tow on Thanksgiving Day and see what happens.
It's probably not a challenge I want to meet today.
Exactly.
My friend, who is the host and founder of the Tesla Life, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show, and glad to see that Casey's alive and wasn't shot dead for blocking superchargers on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes.
How American is that?
Very.
Almost in chorus. That was
you missed out on a totally American experience, Casey.
I'm
glad.
Oh God, no. No. And last and certainly not least, he is the founder and owner of Boulder Hybrids in Boulder, Colorado, Mr. Paul Guzik.
Howdy, hey, it's getting chilly in Colorado, but glad to be here.
See, nobody's going to make fun of you for saying that because it's Boulder, it's in the mountains. But when the Californians say, "Hey, it's cold as hell here today," we get crap.
Russell,
Okay?
you live in San Diego.
You're wearing a T-shirt
and shorts, but I have big fuzzy slippers on.
With the slippers.
I actually thought, should I put on pants for the show? And I'm like,
always put on pants for the show.
Us.
we never put on.
Us.
Just don't stand up.
What drives us has a
kind of
long
leatherings.
tradition of not wearing pants, and I'm wearing shorts. I'm covered. I'm just not like I don't have. Yeah.
I've
Anyway,
worn pants for every episode except for the ones where I was wearing shorts.
well, sir, all I can say is maybe
Even when I'm listening and not on the show, I'm wearing pants.
even when I'm listening, Casey,
Isn't
I
that just
respect
your
that
problem, Casey?
so much, but yeah,
You could be free.
be free, be free.
Pants
Well,
free,
speaking of being free, Elon Musk has been very free for the last couple of weeks, as we have been talking about. But I don't want to talk about Twitter right now. I don't want to talk about Elon and Tim walking around the reflecting pool, holding hands, coming together as two grown adult men can. I want to talk about the insidious problem that I thought Elon Musk could have been years ago and how it's really come to fruition. And that is the Boring Company. The Boring Company has been short-circuiting mass transit options because is someone crying?
Yeah, Motoko is probably crying back there.
Oh, it's like, oh my God, I've already brought someone to tears. I'm so sorry, Motoko. Using the Boring Company and his, of course, very public visibility, he's visited certain towns. We know about Motoko. There we go. We know about Baltimore, the whole thing. We know about Rahm Emanuel in Chicago, both airport things. Hey, guess what happened? Nothing. Nothing. After both mayors were like, oh, we're going to do this. It's so cool. It's so awesome. And then, wait for it, the Boring Company just ghosted them. Yeah,
It's funny.
it wasn't those cities saying, no, we don't want you, Elon, or anything like that. It was the Boring Company just said, hey, you know what?
We out.
That's exactly. They didn't even say that. They just said, hey, you know what?
Ghosted
Just
them.
walked away.
Yeah.
And this is exactly the kind of damaging behavior that he can inflict. It's just he's horrible. And
he's kind of
both
like
of those projects.
It's kind of like the huckster in that Simpsons episode that sold them a monorail.
Right.
I can see that.
I don't. We could talk about Neuralink. We could talk about the Hyperloop. We could talk about all kinds of things. But the Boring Company was basically, as it's turned out, and there's a wonderful article on the Wall Street Journal. Check the link in the show notes, detailing how the Boring Company has ghosted these municipalities where they put in bids and then they just walk away from it because they're not going to do it. So much for cheap building bricks, so much for dirt cheap secondhand boring machines are going to be twice as fast as anything else in the world. So much for magical autopilot driven cars underground driving autonomously. Guess what? The only one is Vegas. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's probably going to be the only one too.
Well, wasn't there a second one that was proposed with the exact same branding as Vegas that makes it seem a little more plausible than everything else?
There's Austin. There's a bid in for Austin. There's one in for Fort Lauderdale.
Yep. His mom was making fun of him on Twitter because he's late
But
for this Neuralink
anyone,
show.
other cities dug a hole in the ground yet?
One, and then they closed it up.
Baltimore, they dug a hole.
And then they filled it with dirt. Oh, Lord Jesus.
I don't know. I'm not sure why they would ghost them unless, of course, it became unprofitable at that point. I don't think there's any comment back from them
properly.
But I don't know. I think it's viable in some places. Chicago, wouldn't hold too much stock in Chicago because they're kind of all over the place, anyways. Always have been. They're a little bit crooked in Chicago. Always have been.
Oh wow!
Wow, we went there, did we?
They did go there.
Yeah, but
I'm
not sure why. I'm not sure why, but certainly Vegas has embraced
city
them
with
wholly.
a city with a historical reputation for not being gang-ridden and corrupt. Definitely.
They also just redid
if you think
Russell's
Chicago's
experience with
corrupt, let me
with
introduce
solar.
you to the history of Las Vegas.
Holy shit.
Las Vegas is like pikers.
Yeah. Again, my only concern here is that these potentially could have been viable mass transit projects, light rail, whatever it is, and instead Elon swooped in his jet with his larger-than-life personality, talked to mayors and or government officials that wanted to be on the front page with Elon, because how cool is that? And
cool.
Instead of talking about really doable options, we talked about drilling tunnels, and none of those tunnels are going to get drilled.
How about if you get into a verbal agreement with Mr. Musk, you also get yourself a break contract fee, so that way you got some cash to make up for the if they change their mind.
Wow, Casey, I wish that was how the minds of public servants operated.
I mean, at this point, we're what five projects in.
Let me tell you something.
Stipulate
For
that.
cool points, you will not get a single elected official to not decide to do a neck to toe tongue bath to whomever shows up, and then roll on the floor like a big plush carpet with a sign that says "Walk on me with your spiky boots, Daddy," on their back. Because that's what it's like to watch mayors and mayor pro tems and chair people and council members, even school board members, when somebody comes in with a shiny idea. Because you know what people like? They like the shiny ideas. They don't like boring public transit, especially not facilitating public transit in ways like, I'll give a shout out to YOLO County and the YOLO bus. They took their intercity transit route and they made it free to boost ridership and get people back in seats. And from what I can see, it seems to be working. They gave it was like a free month. And I think, honestly, one of the things that they could help themselves out with is offering even a free hour or two a day to help during commuter times. But when it comes to supporting things that have worked and been proven to work versus, oh my God, we'll get a Spyro Gyro Helicopter tunnel boring thing with shininess and somebody cool with cool points who's going to walk around and get the cameras on me. So hopefully I will be able to have my name in the papers next to the cool guy, and this will help my re-election bid or my election to a higher office.
So really, the mayor's only interested in getting reelected. That's it.
That is every elected official's interest. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There's tons of people who get elected to do things that they think will help the community. That it's hard work. There's tons of people I've disagreed with on personal matters and who, frankly, I wouldn't pee on if they were on fire. But I recognized that they were doing a job that I didn't want to do, and I didn't want to read these studies and have to talk to these people for hours. And it's a lot of work to be an elected official, even if you're doing it half-assed. So I will give them credit for it. But
can I ask
I'll also say that if it's not coming out of the coffers of the public, like at least the first section of Vegas, go right ahead if it's private money, and then if it doesn't work, try something else. But like you said, if it's public money,
do we have any care about the real impact of the money? Who gives a fuck where it's coming from? Well, isn't it really more important maybe to get people's asses out of cars?
Yes.
Isn't that really more important
than but if it's
blowing up Elon's ego or helping Rahm Emanuel get some bullshit job he doesn't deserve?
Let's excise Elon from the conversation, because I think Russell has a great point here in that the point isn't whether it's public money or private money. It's why can't we focus the money to helping something that works and works for the people and things that are proven instead of the shiny and new. And I think that's right.
If the goal is to reduce traffic and it's not coming out of public money, I think it's fair to try new stuff there. But if it's coming from public money, then I think you should be more cautious with it. Because this thing may work and it may take off. So far it hasn't, other than in 5 stops, but we don't know that yet. But like you said, right now it's not. As I was saying, I would get the break lease agreement if I were trying to do this with public money or in any situation at the moment. But if this thing takes off, great. And if it doesn't take off, you've got a great place to put electric buses because there's not enough ventilation for combustion buses at those tunnels.
Sure. We'll see what happens with the boring tunnel. I mean, I read through the stuff Russell sent, and I'd actually seen that thread, and I just thought, it's a Musk-free day. I like it when it's a Musk-free. I've demusked my entire area. There is no rabid musk scent around me, and I love it in my TL that way. I've had him blocked for a long time because, and you people who are fans of Teslas will not mind this, but people who are fans of Musk will. I've just always found him to be just a giant blathering pile of dumb. And I don't want to hear him talk. He's just always talking. And can't you be pretty and just silent like a statue?
Wait a minute. You think he's pretty?
No, he's not. But let's give him some compliments, and maybe he'll feel better about himself and be silent. So I just cut him off, and I didn't want to hear anything more. It's been a lot. But this one I had to read through. And when you find out that they named the piece of equipment, the borer that they got, Godot, wow. Did you plan
We're waiting on it.
They are. Well, I was like, you cannot make this up. I couldn't write this. And submit it without somebody sending it back and say, please stop being so obvious with your jokes. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's room for this project. That's what's funny about it. There's room for it. There's a way to make this work, and it probably is best served in some place like Vegas. But we need to get people on board with not the shiny, but with practical, cost-efficient, and massively reproducible, I'm probably misusing a term there, projects. And this is not it. And I really feel bad for the people at Boring for whom this is a mission. And I'm sure they believe in this mission. You can't do these kinds of jobs without believing in it. For whom, when something like this happens and it casts a really negative light on the whole company, and it makes it look like you're a company of grifters. Yet you're a dreamer, and you shouldn't have to deal with that just because that dream doesn't work this way in this place. So that's what I'm saying.
All we need to do is clone Gwen Shotwell and put her at Tesla, Boring, Starlink. Well, she's at Starlink because she's at SpaceX, but you know what I mean. Just put her everywhere, and then let him just play what he wants to play when he wants to play, and then bring him back.
Started the Boring projects like at Disneyland, at Tomorrowland, or some private money proof of concept, and then go from there.
Yeah.
The initial part of Vegas.
I think they have a great test bed in Vegas.
Vegas will work.
Yeah.
This is exactly why Vegas exists. Vegas.
How is Vegas working?
Well,
apparently better than the contract.
They're fulfilling the contract that they signed.
No, I get that they're fulfilling the contract, but the whole autonomous car thing, complete bullshit, never worked. Even
they didn't promise that to Vegas. They
dedicated
just promised that to the public.
Tunnel.
Look, I will forgive Elon when he comes up with a version of Baymax that's affordable and I can keep and hug and cuddle, because I really want a giant robot I can fly on. And until then, I'm going to keep him blocked and ignore this.
Okay, enough. That was all. I mean, well, I've got one at the end, maybe.
But, no, we're going to talk
let's
about.
Let's go to Georgia for something that isn't about Lonnie. And isn't about Tim Cook and them holding hands walking around the reflecting pool at the
You
Apple
leave
Park.
Tim Cook alone.
Well, he started it.
Oh, yeah.
I have far more faith in Tim Cook than I do in Dollar Store Stark. All right.
Well, he's a lot more predictable for sure.
Well,
it's a known quantity.
And a lot more well up on his medications. Okay. The future is hydrogen, people. I know.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not laughing at you. There was a really funny joke.
Neuralink is
behind
only
me.
21 minutes late for their presentation. I was like, "Where's this music coming from?"
They've got to kill the last 60 monkeys, then they'll start.
they just finished.
All right. Okay, maybe not for cars, because I think we've covered that one on this show about hydrogen power for cars. But these are the first hydrogen-powered transit buses that will be hitting LA counties on the streets of Foothill. Well, so there are going to be 3 brand new hydrogen fuel cell buses in the county of LA, and it's going to be 33 next year. Hey, not exactly a huge gift, but it's a start. Now, we have all the questions we should be having about hydrogen powered whatever. Let's give them some kudos for actually moving forward and getting rid of some ICE buses and trying something different. And adding public transportation to LA County, as someone who's had to visit down there and travel around down there, full golf clap of freedom to you guys. I congratulate you on your brand new 3 hydrogen powered buses and your 33 more. And I look forward to the expansion of a sustainable LA County public bus service.
How much?
Only about $1 million a piece.
$1 million.
How much more than the electric buses?
About double.
Oh, okay.
Jeez.
Well, I mean, like you said, it's better than fossil. So let's give them that, assuming that it's not fossil hydrogen.
But they don't mention where the hydrogen's coming from.
That's what I was
That's
just saying.
the other thing. It's like, where is it going to come from?
Natural gas, you know.
They're
From
gonna
Canada.
replace some of
Natural
these
gas from
older-
Canada. So now we're
They're
trading it across the
producing
world.
it. They're producing it in Japan and then shipping it over.
Oh, God, shut up.
Even worse than getting it
with
from
us,
Canada.
with
On the
people
diesel
we
freighter.
probably are. It's not true.
I mean, it'd be
Don't
different
ruin
if
this for
you
me.
said, you know, the windmills out east of LA are cracking water to make hydrogen, and they're doing it at night when there's lots of wind and they're storing
Now,
it. But
I'm going to
That-
clear
that
up
would be
one.
okay.
There's
It's not
just
the best
one
use of
little
electricity,
point.
but
These
better than
buses
natural
cost
gas.
1.2 million, and they
Damn.
replace electric battery plug-in buses that cost 950,000. So it's not twice.
It's still more.
It is more, but so are eggs. What do you want from me? It's like,
So are eggs.
at least, assuming they can find a source of clean hydrogen, that is a good application. They can have
Yeah,
a big
yeah.
fueling station at the depot every night. The buses can come in and fill up.
I got to worry about a driver forgetting to plug it in.
Yeah, and they're not going to be belching.
And while the buses are on their route, then they can crack natural gas to produce more hydrogen to put in the tank to fill up the buses at night.
Yeah,
And when it gets cold, the bus can spew hot water, which then turns to ice and black ice on the road.
well, there's a reason why they went with hydrogen. So some of us scroll
Because
all
it's
the way
buzzy
down to
and
the
trendy.
bottom. Remember?
Shiny thing, like you just talked
No,
about.
it's not the shiny
Politicians
thing,
are shiny.
actually. It's not. It's actually
Okay.
not. They said they can travel 300 miles without stopping for refueling. The battery powered ones needed to recharge after 150 miles. So more
And
trips.
How many municipal
that double
buses
battery
go-
is
Yeah. How far does the municipal bus travel within the city limits?
Well, it
Barely
means less
300
time
miles.
out though, and they don't need to stop mid-service for refueling. They don't plug into the grid, which guys, we kind of do need an upgraded electrical grid in this country. If not, we refuse to spend the money on it, and it's just waiting for something.
It
So
is California.
the battery electric buses take 2 to 4 hours to recharge. Refueled hydrogen bus takes 7 to 10 minutes, and it fits into their already
15, 20.
present refueling infrastructure. So it's not as if they completely are starting from scratch.
They had any
Not
natural
to
gas buses
mention,
in the past. They can rejigger
it's
them.
not
for
that
hydrogen.
hydrogen buses are actually pretty common. Well, common isn't quite the word, but they're already in service down in LA and up here in Northern California. Omnitrans has them. Orange County Trans them. What can you say? It's there. So there are reasons, and it's not completely crazy that they went with this. So I'm actually there's thought. There's a thought behind it. Even if I don't think, once again, this is just like the boring company story from the beginning. it may not work all over, and it would not work for cars, but it will work in specific places to expand sustainability and public transportation and get people off the streets in their individual cars for short trips. Or if they're doing commuting and they're able to commute directly to work and back home, this is a great option that, especially for those of you in LA who understand what an LA nightmare driving is. And I can tell you, as someone who's driven down from Sacramento down to San Diego for Comic-Con, that I go all the way around LA County and take the 405 and do not cross.
If
We
you
do
thought
not
that the
enter
DC
LA.
and Atlanta were bad, don't try LA.
Yeah, LA. We had to stop on our ride down to Comic-Con and get gas in, not quite even downtown, just more further in, closer to the main drag. And it took us almost 20 minutes to pull out of the gas station because it was about
a 3-minute fill is bullshit. There's no such thing as a 3-minute fill.
There's no such thing, and it's a big mess. So get your asses out of your car, get into a bus, and at least if you're stuck there because of heavy traffic, you got a book, bring a snack, have a drink, sit back, relax. You're in a bus. You don't have to deal with it.
We've got 475 back episodes.
That's
Thank you, Casey Green.
good promo, Casey. So that's what's happening when because I'm like I said to Russell when I popped this story up, I was like, yeah, peace out on Muscovite, and I'm sticking to my transportation beat because I think we've got more good news, and I want to close out everybody's year with good transportation news.
I wish them success and that they use green hydrogen.
There you go.
They're going to try.
And that they don't have any pressure problems or explosions or any of the other crap that the Toyota had to deal with.
Well, hey, their buses, the electric buses, by the way, were breaking down at 11 years and bursting into flames.
Aren't the hydrogen tanks on top of the bus? So if they burst into flames, the flames go up and not through the passengers?
Well, if it bursts into flames,
get out.
It might be a pretty explosion.
It's on the ceiling.
It's hydrogen.
So get out.
Just come on. It's not like
our
they
next
do
story
that exciting.
Has nothing to do with hydrogen and nothing to do with Elon.
Yeah.
I think.
Maybe.
Mark Coughlin, what the heck is going on in a funny place called Lordstown?
Lordstown, Ohio, the home of the endurance pickup truck. So this has been something that's been on again and off again for some time. Lordstown Motors had announced quite some time ago that they were going to go ahead and manufacture a pickup truck for the masses. They were going to produce 100,000 of these pickup trucks. They were going to be at an affordable price, $45,000, I believe, was the start price. And that plan didn't work. They stopped that immediately and said, no, we're not going to sell to individuals. We're going to switch that. We're going to sell these vehicles to fleet owners. They're going to be a lot easier to sell. We got lots of orders on the book. We're going to go ahead and do that. Well, money became a problem, and they weren't producing any pickup trucks.
So
and then we heard that there was some serious money problems because the factory that they had in Lordstown, Ohio, was going to be foreclosed on them because they didn't have the money to make payments on the lease of the land. That's when Foxconn stepped in. And they put some money into the operation and said they would support it and keep this operation going. And that's the last we heard of it for some time. And then I went to the North American Auto Show in Detroit. And lo and behold, on the show floor was a Lordstown endurance pickup truck, which shocked me. I hadn't heard that this thing was even going to make it. And here it was on the show floor in a kind of a corner. Wasn't really being displayed on its own. It was in a group of vehicles that were in line for the Car of the Year award for 2022. And I was thinking to myself, they didn't produce many of these. Can't really be a Car of the Year because it wasn't produced that much. Well, this story comes up on the radar just 2 days ago, and it's indicating that Lordstown is now going to be delivering its first batch of 500 endurance trucks. They've already left the Foxconn factory in Ohio. They have been tested and received certification from the EPA and the CARB groups, and the vehicle apparently has passed, so it's able to be sold. So this was an out of the nowhere, and really, there's not been a lot of fanfare about this. Maybe it's because the number's so low, but I am kind of shocked that this has kind of been, flying low in the news media because the vehicles have been shipped. They're being delivered to the first batch of customers. This vehicle is a little different than most electric vehicles, that it's going to have the motor, the electric motor, is going to be in the hub of the wheel of the truck. So unlike most that are somewhere in the differential or, the axle of the vehicle, these are hub motors. So they're inside the wheel. Not sure if that's a good choice for a vehicle, especially one that's brand new. You probably want to make this kind of drop dead simple. This is some new technology that they're going to be trying out in a pickup truck. Well, not new technology, but it's certainly a little bit more complex than putting it on the axle or elsewhere. So this is something that's going to be a little different for them. I don't know. We're going to have to see. It's got a 5-star crash test performance. Again, it's being sold to fleets at this point. So not really sure how this is going to fly or what the review. Will there be reviews? Will these fleet owners be talking about their new endurance pickups? I really don't think so. I think it's going to be kind of quiet. But it's, again, this is kind of a weird news release for this truck. If they're trying to make a go of it, you would think there would be a big splash. There'd be some sort of a production of, here's the first deliveries. Let's get people up on stage to take their key fobs. Let's do something that, makes a splash. And really, it's kind of subdued, kind of weird.
It's very weird because, there's no reviews. There's no nothing. It's a very cool looking truck. You actually produce something, you owe a lot of money. Maybe you might want to let people know so they can come buy it.
Isn't 500 like half of what Rivian's delivered?
Yeah.
So,
but from what I understand, they
step.
only delivered 2 so far. Like 1, 2.
I want to add the random rumor that's not really connected that I made to connect. So I had to sort of, I'm like the blood-sucking mosquito on Mark Coughlin's story here. But interesting story reported that Volkswagen is in talks with Foxconn about producing a Scout electric vehicle in the United States. No,
Since Foxconn has a newly revived factory in Ohio.
Yes.
Oh, that's producing electric vehicles?
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe I don't know. They're also so we know that. I'm sorry.
I was just say, you got to give credit to Foxconn for scooping up this factory and get in a position to partner with whoever needs a manufacturing partner to take advantage of the U.S. tax credits.
Yep.
Exactly. They're moving fast and they're trying to get things done.
But where are they going to get all the 11-year-olds to assemble them?
Man.
It's Ohio. There's several elementary schools that actually ship their children to work in the factory.
Oh man, Russell, you had to go there.
I had to. It's Ohio, dude. Have you ever been to Ohio?
Yes, I have.
What's wrong?
So you guys remember that my car took me past the factory, and it was pretty empty when I went through. But maybe now they're spinning.
Well, they're certainly making vehicles now. Now, how many and how many they're delivering? And congratulations to them. Even if it's two, that's two. That's two more than lots of other electric startups have delivered. And I hope they can make it work. The only reason I bring up this thing, and Volkswagen has talked to Foxconn and Magna. Magna produces the Jaguar I-Pace, and I think
And they did
maybe
the Ford
some.
Focus electric.
Yeah.
And they're
Certainly,
Canadian.
And they're Canadian.
I thought Magna was Austrian.
Nope.
They're Canadian. I had no
Definitely
idea.
Canadian.
Well, then definitely those communists are not allowed in the US. No. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, who knows? Is there some sort of synergy there that maybe could be tapped into, help support Lordstown complete its mission, and help Volkswagen manufacture this Scout vehicle, whatever it's going to be? That'd be great. Is it going to happen? I'm not betting on it. I don't know. I just had to bring it
Well,
up. That's all.
and Foxconn and Magna are independent companies. They'll contract
Yes.
with anybody. So
Yeah.
if there's a Japanese or a European or Korean car company that needs to build something in North America to get the tax credits, they're like, come on down. We'll do it. So,
Absolutely. So, Mark, cool story.
it's kind of weird there was no fanfare. Like,
Mhm.
as Georgia says, you're trying to sell vehicles. You do owe a lot of money. Should you not be swinging for the fences when it comes to your first deliveries?
Who's sucking all the oxygen out of that room?
yeah. Maybe
The leader in electric vehicles?
I'm just saying. I mean, who wants to talk to whoever the CEO of Lordstown is when they can chase Elon around?
Hey, they
Who's gonna
got
get
Trump
more
to show
clicks?
up at the factory before Foxconn
No, they
bought
didn't.
it.
They
Oh,
didn't.
that's
They
a
got
very
Pence
bad
to
idea.
show up at the factory before they shut down.
Yeah, I don't know. And you're right. Your basic point, absolutely correct.
Maybe
Yes.
they're waiting to make sure all the lug nuts are tight first, and then
The wheels
Ooh,
don't fall.
Toyota.
Ow. Ow. Wow. I got to be careful because next week those guys could be kicking my ass. So let's go to Casey and talk about what the hell is NACS? Can we just another acronym?
Another acronym. Let me pull up a picture of NACS. All right,
Uh-oh.
so we're gonna share.
We're not going to get flagged for this, are we, Casey?
Probably.
Yeah.
Depends on what you
thanks.
think NACS means.
I don't know, man. I'm just
All right, so this connection here used to be called the TSLA2. It's now called NACS for North American Charging Standard, and this was something we saw on Aptera previously, and pretty much only them. And folks are wondering how they did it. Well,
Hmm.
so we got some really cool specs and comparisons on the NACS connector versus their main competitor, CCS. Also CHAdeMO, but nobody but Nissan is using CHAdeMO anymore, except outside of Japan anyway. So we see that it's smaller. It has some advantages that it's AC and DC. It has no moving parts. So this little latch right here that often breaks and exposes people to danger or downs a station, it doesn't happen to exist here. And we also found that there was a bit of concern that why are they doing this now? It's not as capable as this thing. Well, they gave us some specs. Does this go to the same page or does it open in a new one? Good. Same page. So they gave us their actual technical specifications. And we found out that this thing is now a 1,000 volt connection.
Wow.
Instead of just 500. They go through like you saw how quickly I was able to click into this. I didn't have to give them an email. I didn't have to pay them $50,000 for a preview. I've got CAD files. I can go in and I can actually make one of these right now if I wanted to, and put it in a car. They've got the
Nice.
AC DC pin sharing. You've got your CAD files. I don't have a CAD viewer on this computer, otherwise I'd show you that. And
So
it's
is
also
it royalty free then?
royalty free, exactly. So anybody who wants to use this can. It uses CCS signaling. It uses J1772 signaling. Every car has used the same signaling since the Avcon connector back in the mid to late 90s. But the CCS uses Powerline, which is a bit new, and then they called out that they use the same power line as CCS. They do plug and charge. In addition to learning that it also has 1,000 volts, we learned that it supports megawatt charging and bidirectional charging. So you can have vehicle to X, vehicle to grid, vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to load. And that's something that you can't actually get on any Tesla right now because it voids your warranty if you take power out of that battery pack and it's not for driving down the road or running the air conditioner. So this was exciting. And just today, our friends at Charin, which is the group that is responsible for CCS, of which Tesla and 155 other members are core members of, unsolicited, they came out and said, this is stupid, don't do it. But at the same time, when they said this, they also happened to kind of call out that the changes to their stuff take time, including fixing that stupid latch, which I thought was kind of not the way you wanted to go about saying that you're better, is that, hey, we're more bureaucratic and slow. But they're like, why don't you just make us better? Why don't you just acquiesce and float along? And that was the gist of what they had to say there. That's right here on the Charin.global site. And the other thing is not only did Tesla give it up royalty free, they also went so far as to submit this to standards bodies like SAE and a couple others, so that way it can not just be a de facto standard in the fact that charging station operators have already committed to putting this on their station. EVgo has already got them on a couple stations, and they're going to be rolling it out to the fleet. Aptera has already committed to publicly to not just they were pushing for the Tesla connector, but now that it's a standard connector, they're pushing to use that standard, and they've said, hey, we're using it. So I'm really excited about this connector, especially since it's so much more capable than we ever imagined. And for those of us that have used several of them, not just A1772, but also and CCS ports like Mark and I, you know that the NACS connector is lighter and easier to manipulate. And I was excited when this came out.
So Casey, I guess what I want to know is what is the relation of this NACS connector to the Tesla connector on superchargers?
It's the same.
Okay. So if my car X has an NACS socket, I can go to his Tesla supercharger, assuming that they would communicate and all of that. The Tesla would allow it physically, and it will charge the vehicle. Okay.
Absolutely. And in fact, we've seen in Europe, they've already given you the app access for some cars and some towns to go ahead and turn that on. And we've seen hackers have been in the Tesla US app and seen that same stuff has been added after the fact, way after they started in Europe. So it's looking like Tesla is getting ready to open that up as well.
In North America.
In North America, yeah. And one of the other points that they pointed out when they rolled this out is that they're on like 70% of North American cars, and they have well over 70% of the installed handles and stations. Maybe not number of sites, because their sites are bigger. Everybody else's sites tend to be 4 to 8 stalls, and Tesla starts at 6 to 12 stalls for their minimum install nowadays.
Well, and I think if we call the Tesla standard NACS now,
yeah,
uptime per capita is probably higher than any other charging network.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. I was watching yet another video. This one was very recent. The guy was trying to take his Rivian across the country for spite.
Rebuild.
Yes. And
that was a good video.
It was.
Where he basically really loved his Rivian, but driving it cross country was a nightmare because of all the flaky chargers that he could.
Right.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it was nothing like nothing like what I didn't plan my trip with the trailer. I just said, "Oh, I've got a trailer. Let's go." I didn't know if I could do it. I didn't know if there was connectivity. It just worked, and each of my stops was 30 minutes.
That is the thing with the Tesla network, is it's vastly more dependable than anybody else. Vastly. Yeah. So much so, as Casey said, that you don't have to plan your trips. You just have to decide when you're going to leave. That's it.
Even when you cut your range by 60%, yeah. you don't even have to think about it. So I wanted to bring that to the group because that's something that we were always talking about is, and that was something I was pushing for with Cybertruck is why not go CCS? Why not go CCS? Well, why not? Is because there's less of them, they're less reliable, and they're not as powerful.
Tesla opens up the network to non-Tesla vehicles. I think that would be huge.
I think that's going to make them a lot of money too, when you look at the rates they charge.
Yeah.
It could, yeah. I mean, I guess the question is, no one from Tesla has said when they would open up that network potentially.
It's gonna be a surprise. There'll be a party, and then it'll just be like it always has been.
Actually, Elon said that it should happen this year. So by the end of the year.
Wow. So
Like
who's gonna be
Now he didn't say where or how many.
Yeah.
Right.
But in Europe, when they started their pilot program, they only started with like 8 stations, and then they grew it, and now it's
like
in
eight countries
it's in
now.
8 countries now,
Yeah.
multiple stations. So it's something that and it's grown now to Australia. So it's coming. There's no doubt it's coming. But I think what Tesla is doing is they're walking a fine line, and they're trying to say, well, what stations are being underutilized?
Right.
What stations could support a network of other vehicles charging here and will not clog it up so that we have Tesla drivers coming in being upset that they can't get a charge because it's overused.
Right.
And the great thing about it is that since Tesla, it's their network, they collect all the data. So they're able to analyze that and decide based on the real data as to how they should roll it out. And they now have the clout for the stations that if there is a station that is being overutilized, they can now build the station across the street, double up the size, and then open it to the public. So it's something that is within their realm to control and hopefully manage well for volume.
Yeah. And then, like I said, we've already got several charging networks that want a piece of that Tesla pie. And not just the Tesla customers. Now you've got the Aptera customers, and then whoever else decides to adopt this thing. And with it using the same signaling as CCS, I've talked to a couple engineers, and as long as your system can handle AC and DC coming in the same place, and most of them they'll bypass the onboard charger when you're DC fast charging, so it's not an issue. They will also be able to use it. You'll be able to like go to your local shop, like if Paul felt like it, he could do retrofits from CCS connectors to NACS connectors for customers, especially for those
Well,
vehicles
there's
that get
already
abandoned.
off-the-shelf adapters for the physical part of it.
Right.
So that part's easy.
Yeah. And so then you could just
like plugging in a US cord in Europe and vice versa. There's
right. But if somebody didn't want to haul the dongle around, you could actually literally replace their socket with an NACS socket, and it'd be good to go. Yeah.
I mean, anything that makes it possible for more electric vehicles to be on the road and operate. I will say anything. We're not going to sacrifice people, but yeah.
My biggest complaint about it all was, why did it take so long?
Well,
you knew this was coming. Why not do it sooner?
That's a fair question, and I'm sure part of it is also what other no other manufacturer other than Tesla or somebody, and no slight at all to Aptera, wants to like, yeah, you can charge your Toyota at a Tesla supercharger.
Right.
Toyota never wants to say that. They'd rather not sell electric cars than say something like that.
They'd rather do that anyway.
Shame on them for that anyway. Yeah.
One of the other cool things I liked about it was they specified in their testing procedure, because again, this is a standard, so you have to say, these are the temperatures it works in. These are how much water it needs to resist while charging and while not charging. One of the things they said was, when you're testing it, we don't want you to drop it in a laboratory. As Mark likes to say, on the carpet. We want you to install this the way that the user's going to have it. So it's going to have a cable attached, not just dropping a handle. And you're going to drop it onto concrete, gravel, asphalt, and it needs to drop a certain amount of times. And they're saying
so pump of snow.
Yeah, exactly. And because of the way that you're dropping it with the handle attached, it's not going to fall the same way every time. It's going to fall to the sides most likely, sometimes on the top. And that will actually get you a little bit extra robustness because you're not hitting the same spot every time. And this it has to support this much torque. So like basically running it over with a car, and it was very well thought out. And then to find out that it was so much more capable of anything that we've seen so far, I was even more surprised and impressed with that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Casey, for NACS. Let's go to our final story, and we're going to go to Georgia, who has what she describes as a cute little story to end the show with.
Here we go.
I don't know about cute. Well, just something fun.
Did I
Because
misquote?
a lot of times we don't really get to have fun in
No.
this. So since I said I was just going to stick to public transportation for a little bit, we got something fun, holiday, and festive for you, especially out there in Chicagoland. You know, it's back. It's back. The CTA Holiday Train and Bus that has returned for 31st Street festive rides. And what is the CTA train, you might be asking? That is the Chicago Transit Authority All-State Holiday Train. And it just runs around being lit and decorated. It will started service the day after Thanksgiving and serves all 8 CTA rail lines. It's a 6-car train decorated with LED lights, sparkling lights, and outlining the shape of the train and all of its windows. Santa and his reindeer right along on the outside. What more could you want except maybe some hot chocolate and, once again, snacks? So what's cool about this train is it's not just pretty. It's not just delivering happy visuals. It delivers food to various charities throughout the city, and the CTA employees donate the time and the money to put together the food baskets, and about 600 baskets are donated to the Chicago community organizations in this period of the year. So there's Ralphie the reindeer outside. It runs 16. That's the holiday bus has Ralphie the reindeer, and it travels 16 routes. Passengers will have a mini village inside, lighting and holiday themed seating. And Mr. Claus is on his sleigh on the rooftop ready to deliver toys. Unlike the rest of us who are still freaking out at like it's not August. Oh man. Because honestly, that's me. But it's pretty cool. And I thought, you know what? That's the other part about public transportation. Not only do you not have to drive, gets a few cars off the road, but it can put you in a good holiday mood. Because you know what takes you out of a holiday mood? Holiday traffic.
Driving.
And you don't need to be in that.
I agree, Georgia. And it's sort of like commuting to work in the Main Street Electrical Parade, you know? Was that a Disney reference too obscure? I'm sorry.
Not to me, but I have to admit, I've only seen word of it.
There you go. Well, thank you for that. Let's do some shout outs and go home just because we've been good little elves and we deserve it. I'm going to start with Casey Green.
So Sundays, you'll catch me here, youtube.com/@Casey Green. And I do a show of varying lengths about what's going on with green tech and green living and whatever I feel like. But most of you guys seem to enjoy it. So,
Oh, no.
And basically, it's hang out and chat with Casey time.
yeah, absolutely.
There we go. Hang out
Enviro
with
nerd time.
I
And where
might
do we
pop
do that,
in. Who
Casey
knows?
Green?
If I'm bored, you know,
Yeah,
don't want
do
to
it.
play video games.
Yeah.
Bother Casey.
Well, that'd be fun to play video games. We are on Twitch too.
Then you're just gonna sit there and watch me fail at dragon riding because I got my Warcraft download. It's Dragonflight.
There you go.
There you go. Well, thank you, Casey Green.
Pleasure.
Paul Guznick.
You know, I'm going to shout out to Rich's Rebuilds.
Yes.
We talked earlier. He's been a guest on the show before. I did enjoy his recent episode about driving a Rivian down the East Coast and all the troubles and tribulations. While he loved the truck,
Yeah.
charging was a nightmare, and New Jersey is a nightmare.
New Jersey.
Most New Yorkers would agree with you on that.
Yeah,
one.
most everybody would agree with you.
and for those of you who are complaining about you had to wait 2 minutes at a Californian supercharger, what Rich went through is what charging an EV across the country used to be like, except even
And-
more uncertainty.
As you said, Casey, earlier, when Tesla opens up their network,
Yeah.
he could stop at Tesla stations with a Rivian, arguably a competing product, and not have any hassle doing his trip. So
I'll take money.
yeah. And but anyway, it's a very entertaining episode. So check it out on his YouTube channel, and maybe we'll get him on the show one of these days again.
Oh, I'd love to talk to you about that one.
You know,
We should actually.
Yeah.
Rich is a great guest, and he's a great guy.
an entertaining way of talking about technology.
Very approachable.
What I love
And
about
humorous.
Rich. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And he's super talented. I mean, you know, he does some really cool stuff and some fully out of control crazy stuff too. But that's another reason he's lovable. Speaking of lovable, Mark Coughlin, it's all about you, my friend.
Thanks very much. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up on this video. Press that subscribe button. That helps us out. And if you want to follow us through the week, just look up What Drives Us on any of your social media platforms and you'll find us. We're easy to find. We keep the name the same across the board. So with that, we thank you for watching, and back to you, Russell.
Thank you. In fact, Elon has not canceled the What Drives Us Twitter account yet. Just giving you an update.
Yeah.
Just-
How did we get away?
I'm waiting. Last and not least, she's got bunny ears, or not but little bear ears, but she's not wearing them right now. Georgia McKenzie, what's up in your world?
Hey, I got all the ears. I got what? I got the pearl bunny ears and pearl rabbit ears too on top of that. Hey, we spent almost an hour together and we went over last month, so of course we're short this month. We're short this week. That's great. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe. Even if you've subscribed already, every like you do helps us with the algorithm because it says people like this content. Let me tell them that it's out there. And we are way more fun to talk to and hang out with than their usual fare of whatever neo-Nazis are trending weekly on YouTube. So hit like, you're saving democracy. And while we're at it, when you're done with us, go on over to Casey Green's channel. Hit like, hit subscribe, and then come hang out with him on a Saturday. It's a chat. He's got a baby. He's got the baby AI that he's training to take over the world, and he's got a baby that he's training to take over the baby AI, which is synergy. And you should appreciate that. Come sit down and watch. And then when you're done over there, head on over to the Tesla Life where you can hang out with Mark Coughlin, and he is going to talk to you about everything Tesla, all good things going on over there, and feel very superior in relatively sane Canada. And you can watch that and think about how good that would be in America. Isn't that awesome? Damn you, Mark. Okay. And while we're at it, you got Paul. You need cars run. You need cars fixed. You got an EV. You happen to be in or around Boulder, Colorado. You know where to go. Boulder Hybrids. Go on ahead. Say, Paul, hi, I've seen you on the YouTubes. And you look and sound like an honest guy who's going to help me with my car. So I brought it to you. And, and Paul, remember, you got to kick back. You got to pay it back for me for saying the nice things about you. Thank you for hanging on out with us. And while my shout out is to Christine McVie. She is one of those performers that, my parents listened to. Well, they didn't because rock music was Satan. But I listened to and thought about old people, and I liked it because it's good music.
There's a problem with Georgia's audio. She's breaking up.
That was what adults listened to, and I liked it. Fleetwood Mac, thanks for all the years, Christine McVie. We are going to be singing those songs from now until civilization falls. So legacy assured. And back to you, Russell.
Yeah.
Just 2 weeks?
Yeah,
dude.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
If civilization falls before I, have to make a mortgage payment, I guess it's okay.
At least you died a homeowner.
No, I won't die.
Well,
I'll rule the block.
like cockroaches and Keith Richards, Georgia will be here after the apocalypse.
It just means gloves are off.
Fair enough. I want to thank Michael Manring for his theme music. I want to thank Georgia McKenzie, Casey Green, Mark Coughlin, and Paul Guzik for putting up with my bullshit for another hour. I want to thank each and every one of you, whether you're listening or watching, and maybe listening, maybe not listening, maybe you're just watching, although I can't imagine why. Visually,
we're a pretty good-looking group. You're missing out. Hot.
She is. I'm barely here. So thank you. As always, download us next week and find out what drives us. See you, folks.
Bye, everybody.
Next week. Oh, wait, we won't see you next week. We'll be off next week. I'm going to be driving the new Prius. So the week after that, you're going to hear a whole bunch about the new Prius. Look forward
Oh,
to it.
boy.
See ya.